Hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite, written Rit Ralph, talking to you from our show, Apple Bites, where we take a bite out of the apple and share it with you. Today we got John and Christina hanging out with us here at the Apple Bite.
Hey, hey.
I gotta say, man, it's great to have both of you on. It's always fun when you guys are on, so this should be interesting.
It's fun to be on the show that isn't in the when only werewolves are awake.
Exactly. Oh yeah, the 7:30 show is a bit different. It has a different feel to it. I think it's only because everybody's more awake.
Can we curse on this one is the question.
Oh, that's usually the thing that we are supposed to not curse, but at the same time, it always happens that I'm going to be the first one to curse, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. So, John, you know what we'll do? We'll start with you, so you can let the people know all this good stuff about your Zoop. I was about to say Kickstarter. Your Zoop, so people can I got a couple questions as you go with this, so I want to get into this. So go for it. Do the spiel.
Yeah, you're not the only one, so don't feel bad. I think just like Kleenex or Q-tip, we think crowdfunding, we think Kickstarter, and but we are on Zoop. So a couple people actually, after months of hyping this up, were like, "I searched for your Kickstarter, I don't see it," and I was like, "Yeah, I've been telling you for 2 months we're on Zoop," but that's all right. It happens, so that's what we're here to do: help spread the word of the Zoop. It is a crowdfunding site, much like any other, and we have the newest issue of Drumsticks of Doom. We've talked about it on Bit and Apple quite a few times, but
Yep.
we're back to bang the drum again. This is an issue 1 of the second series, so there's a little bit of a time jump. We felt like we wanted to do something like the Hellboy series or Harrow County, where they have a self-contained miniseries, but then the bigger story does continue on, but you can pick up wherever you want. And so that's what we're trying to do with this. We understand that there's gaps between issues and things like that. So sometimes people to come in at an issue 5 or an issue 7, that's not where they want to be. So we certainly understand that. But it does have a reason for that too. There's 3 natural arcs to Drumsticks of Doom that are planned. The first arc was getting the band together, finding out what these magical world is about, and these mysterious pair of drumsticks that she found, and then the second one, of course, once you've got the band together, you got to record your album. So now we're going to the mysterious Silver Mountain, which is famous in heavy metal hard rock lore. They've gone there to record in private their studio album, and of course, some unwanted guests are trying to join in the jam session. So that's where this story picks up, the 3-issue mini-series.
I gotta like that. It kind of reminds me of the life cycle of the rock band.
Exactly. And then if you could probably guess, what do you do after you record the album? You hit the road. So
Exactly.
a little teaser of what's coming up down the road.
Oh, that alone sounds interesting. The fact that they're hitting the road, all chaos can happen.
You could do a 4th one where they break up and get back together.
Exactly.
Well, you know what? If there's demand, we all are sellouts in the end. I believe Rick Remender, that was a quote from him. We're happy to bring it back. If the demand is there, we'll continue it as long as we can. And this is definitely, I hate to give it the title, but this is our flagship title at Part Time Comics. It does so well. It's just an easy sell. Everybody who loves, comics and high action adventure, horror, but also fans of heavy metal, it's very easy. You kind of just give them the short pitch and they're like, yeah, they're in on it. So we're happy to extend the series. Right now it's planned 3 arcs, and we'll see where we go from there.
I gotta say, man, this is just too cute.
Yeah, and that's obviously not a comic. So, in this day and age, we've definitely given in to the demand of the audiences. Argyle the Arachnigator, who is a spider crossed with an alligator, he's a part of the series, and he's gotten such a great response. We were like, what's something fun we can do that makes sense for the series? Dan and I have never had like merchandise like action figures or stuffed animals made.
Oh wow!
So we said, let's do it. I don't know if I told you last time on the show, and here's here's the prototype here. It's 17 inches long. So I know we are about the comics, but we also understand to keep the comics going, sometimes you got to do things a little differently. So we thought this was fun.
Technically speaking, if we're going to talk about it, it completely is about the comic, because you want the stuff that comes with the comic.
Yeah, and I've been very reluctant. I have a hard time with that stuff. I'm not a variant person myself, so it took me a while to come around to those and the metal covers that we do. And So, you know, some of that as a
Come on, John,
buyer,
I have to say, I know you came a while to come around it, but you're doing rock and it's a metal album. It's a
exactly.
given.
And we did the guitar picks and the drumsticks. I try to do what makes sense and is fun. At least, you know, it's not just like, here's, I'm hawking this product. Here's, you know, $100, you know, additional cover or something. Let's do stuff that's fun that people will get excited about too. And obviously
Exactly.
this one. And if people didn't know, Argyle is co-created. When I was doing the series, I said, you know, it's kind of there's some magic and mysticism in the world. So of course they'd have kind of, you know, different creatures running around. And I was like, I asked my daughter, you know, she was 8 at the time, what would a spider look like crossed with an alligator? So she, you know, she whipped this up.
Hold on, I gotta show this.
So here's the first drawing of Argyle. So of course, you know, that just kind of endeared it to me. And then, you know, I started talking to her about, you know, maybe we could do a stuffed animal and stuff like that, and just her excitement. And she actually did like a little fake commercial without telling me. And
I know, I
she's just
saw the
excited
video.
about it.
Oh my God, that was so cute.
So, you know, in the end, you know, if it doesn't sell or it doesn't work out, at least, you know, we have this connection. And of course, as soon as I showed that drawing to Dan, the co-creator of the book, Dan Doherty, I didn't know he could draw the most amazing alligators. Had I known that, I would have had an all alligator book to begin with. But he did the most amazing, you know, art for Argyle. So he's become a life of his own in the book. So why not, you know, celebrate that? And people have been excited and you know, sharing out you know, that they're getting their stuffy. So it's a cool thing.
I feel like I don't have to ask because I saw her do the commercial. I saw the video when you put it out, and she looked excited. But how was she when she finally saw this little stuffed alligator that she helped create in her hands?
Yeah, I definitely I'll share the picture out. But I took a picture of her when she first got it, and yeah, she was over the moon. And then, you know, asking when are the rest of them going to come in, and you know, I'm like, well, we got it. I keep telling her like the process, and you know, now she's 10 at this point, so she doesn't really understand the kind of slow process of, you know, getting a prototype and seeing if it's good enough and raising money, and she's just like, I want them. I want like 10 of them. I'm like, well, we do have to, like, you know, they're not just for us. We don't just buy them for us. So I'm sure eventually she'll have her own little herd, and most of them will probably be in my house for the rest of my life. But again, it's at least been a fun experience.
I gotta say, man, you're in trouble when those things show up.
Yeah, I know. I already got stacks and stacks of trade paperbacks, and it's single comics. Now I'm going to be buried in these stuffed animals, which my children already have, you know, hundreds and hundreds of their stuffed animal addicts. So I don't know why. You know, my wife's like, "Why are you doing this to us?" I'm like, I think it's going to be fun.
I gotta say, I love your covers. I love the fact that they all have the nice electricity coming from them.
Yes, Dan did an amazing cover. We wanted for this series, you know, it's a continuation, so we were kind of like, let's show all the characters and do kind of one of those Star Wars, Stranger Things homages, and Dan, of course, killed it with, again, you see there, his ability to draw amazing alligators flying through the air there. I mean, for those who don't know, the first trade paperback was funded earlier this year. This is the first 4 issues, so again, this is, you know, technically the 5th in the series. But yeah, we've had great success with the book. We have this awesome, you know, trade paperback now with Dan's awesome black and white art.
Beautiful.
Ryan Velas helped us out with some additional art. We've had amazing artists do covers. So even, you know, I'm not the most confident person, so I can't really tell you how to feel about the story, but I do have confidence that I know how to pair artists with, you know, something that's going to help them do their best. So you see Dave Chisholm's amazing cover there, and Dan's art, and all the cover artists we've had have just knocked it out of the park. So I'm very fortunate in that regard.
Yeah, these covers look fantastic. When I was putting them on the promo, I was like, damn. I see you got yourself a black sketch cover.
We did that for issue 1 of the last series, so I thought I'd bring it back. You know, a special no prize to anybody in the audience who can identify what this is an homage to. But I designed the Drumsticks of Doom logo, so I was trying to think of, again, stepping out of my comfort zone and saying, okay, if we're going to do a sketch cover, what would make it cool? Of course, it's heavy metal, so let's have a black cover. So the first series was the Black Album by Metallica was the homage. This is another such album. So, and then of course I have the 3rd one planned already. So you know, again, have to have it make sense.
Ahead.
And you know, I'm so shocked because I thought, you know, a couple people might add these on, you know, have somebody sketch on them, but people really just like the cover design, and they're like, no, I just want.
Oh, dude, especially because it's a rock comic book. This is a perfect cover. You know, it's the black cover.
Yeah, it was pleasantly surprised how many people were like excited, and I haven't seen too many people sketch on him. So please, people, send me
Oh,
pictures.
dude, folks, you guys got to sketch on this because I know damn well the way that you have to sketch on this is different than if you would do it with the other cover. So I want to see what you guys are doing. But come on, folks, come on, we got to show it.
Yeah, somebody on another show said they do it with the silver pen or the white ink, and that would look
Exactly.
really cool in the reverse. Can't wait to see it.
Ah, you got another metal cover.
So for somebody who doesn't really know about this comic, I assume obviously that the drumsticks, shoot electricity. Do they use that to fight villains, or is it just to play really cool music?
So where we left off in issue 1, she is an independent artist in a heavy metal world, so she's kind of just trying to make her own music on the side. She's kind of embarrassed about it because the whole world surrounds, heavy metal. And she finds a stick, so she's still kind of trying to figure that out, and that's where we pick it up. Is it when she plays music? Is it something about her emotions? Can she use them? I mean, she has
Right.
used them aggressively or to defend herself in the series, but she's still not really sure how they work and how she can control them. So that's definitely a big part of the second series too. So we're still yet to unveil that part.
All right,
And can other people wield them, or?
ooh,
There is one other character who seems to be able to, and who will be in the second series as well. So that's going to be part of the mentorship and teaching her how to use her powers. She meets up with an older drummer who is of rock and roll fame, but we don't want to get sued, so we didn't ever say his name fully. But I think you could probably guess who it was.
I like the fact, John, that from what you're saying here, that you can actually just pick this up. And I haven't picked up the first one, and kind of you're still going along with the story. You're still there. You know what's going on.
Yeah, and again, I'm a big fan of Hellboy and BPRD and series like that where you can pick up wherever. We will give you kind of a let's kind of see where everybody's at, kind of pages at the beginning, but we're not going to necessarily go back over every line in the first. So we think that if you read all of it, you will get a lot of enjoyment and depth. But if you definitely just pick this up, if you saw it at the store or at a con and you just wanted to pick up this series, I like that idea. Again, as a reader, coming in and out of a series, you want to be able to jump in and jump out wherever
I
you
love
can.
that. Yeah, because sometimes and it's funny because it's like in this day and age, especially with the bigger companies, you sit there and they're like wondering why don't people like our books, but I'm like, yeah, even when they do that restart stuff, you don't know
Yeah,
what the hell's going on.
yeah, they don't always do a great job recapping or bringing new readers in. And a lot of people will say like us, oh, us old farts, oh, we picked up Amazing Spider-Man 332 and we just went with it. Well, that's because we had no choice, right? We went in the shop and we had $1 and we bought the comic. That didn't necessarily mean that's the best way to do it now, right? You want to give people a chance to feel like they're gonna get their worth out of the book and not feel like they have to go and search down 50 other issues to figure it out.
Yeah, but at the same time, back then you bought that one issue. You really like you could go find the rest of the stuff if you wanted to, and they gave you what I loved about it back then was like, oh, if you're wondering what's going on, go check so and so issue. They don't do that stuff anymore.
No.
I think it's harder to do because what do you say? Oh, volume 2 of 1 of the 3 of the first issue we did 10 years ago with the.
They can't even keep track of it, so they just gave up. They're like, no more editors' notes. Don't bother with that.
So tell us a little bit about Zoop.
So Zoop is a comics only and comics merchandise, as you see, crowdfunding site. They have great projects right now from Tim Seeley and Jim Starlin. It's really cool. They curate who they have on the site. So at any given time, there's only 3 or 4 campaigns live. Again, it's comics only. It's laid out a little bit differently, as you can see on the screen. It's more a la carte, which I like. You can pick your main tier of this cover, and then you can add whatever you want. It's not like the Kickstarter where there's kind of built-in tiers, and you got to try to figure out is that exactly what I want. This one, you just add to your cart whatever you want, like a web store. But it is a pre-order system, just like Kickstarter or Indiegogo or any of the other ones, because it is still about raising the funds before the book is comes to publication. So you don't get charged till the end, just like. So a lot of people, I think, have asked me questions about that, like because it looks like a web store, am I charged? And it's like, no, you're not charged until the end. And if we're successful, we have to be successful too. So, it combines that web store aspect with the excitement of funding a project. So to me, it was cool. I was interested in it because I like the layout. I've backed books on here before, but I actually approached them about a relaunch for the trade paperback.
Yeah.
I thought, maybe there's like a different audience here and we can kind of, not put all our eggs in one basket. But they were very excited about the book. They said it looks great, but we kind of have the same audience as Kickstarter. So we'd like the new issue. And, they were very excited. And, that's nice to kind of be approached by, somebody and they're excited and they want to, get in on this. So we said, why not? We had it ready to go. So
It works,
we
that's what
figured,
you
why not?
want, and that passion, that feeling, is contagious, so if they're excited about it, that means that they're gonna, and you said that they help you actually put it out there so that people can actually go find it.
Yeah, they do. They put you out on their social media. They put out email blasts to anybody who signs up for the site. When you sign up for Zoop, you're kind of agreeing to get, like another website, like a web store.
Yeah.
You're agreeing to get updates. So it's not just like I only want this one individual book. So you're kind of joining in their network, which again is cool. To me, I want to be, I want the backers of Jim Starlin's book to see, potentially my book and stuff like that as much as possible. That's a cool thing if we're promoting each other and picking each other up. And Kickstarter is great. Don't get me wrong. They're the only reason I'm able to create comics is my amazing collaborators and Kickstarter. At this point, they've been a huge part of my comics career. So we're in no way abandoning Kickstarter. But again, I think in this day and age, especially, you got to try different things.
You have to.
We've reached kind of a plateau on Kickstarter. We love it there. But again, I need to get the book out to more people if it's going to be successful long term. So we love our 150, 200 backers we get on almost all Kickstarters. But again, it's been several years and we're not ticking up as much. So gotta try something different. We'll be back to Kickstarter next month. We have a brand new book there, so no big deal. But again, just like what I've described here, being one of 5 instead of one of 500 on Kickstarter is a cool thing.
It is. It completely works, and of course, Kickstarter is a great tool. It's a great place to go, and we all know this. The more Kickstarters you do, it's the beast. The more Kickstarters you do, the bigger audience you build, and the more you do of them, you start finding different people coming in, and finally, when you have that bigger audience, that's when Kickstarter becomes easier.
Yeah, and this has definitely been an eye opener, and I think its value. I always say we put so much into the value, the monetary value that we get from these things. But the relationships that we build, the people we meet, the experiences we have to pay attention to those too. If we get to the end and we're just like, I didn't make my goal, this sucks, then we're not really learning anything. And what I've really learned is that even though you have your core audience, whether it's through your mailing list or Kickstarter or wherever, they do tend to be that audience. So yeah. I am having a hard time. We have hundreds of backers from Kickstarters, and they will not come over to the Zoop or have not yet. Some of them have reached out to me personally. Some people who have never commented on any Kickstarter reached out to tell me they are not coming to Zoop. They felt like that was the time to engage with me and tell me, I'm sorry, I don't go to Zoop and here's why. And some have had, given good reasons. So it's good information to know that the people, again, some people found it confusing. They didn't understand how to check out. Right. Some people had bad experiences with other people's books and kind of put that on Zoop. So again, I just engage them and say, thank you so much. We'll be back to Kickstarter. Appreciate the feedback wherever we can get it. And it's good to know, right? Because if somebody comes up to me and I like to share information, if people help me, I want to help people. I can tell them this has been my experience. If you have 200 Kickstarter backers, don't expect all 200 to come over. And Dan and I, thankfully, we talked about it. We set the goal a little bit lower than we needed. We thought, this is a trial thing. And I think it'll work out. But, again, I like to share my experiences. Maybe that will help people down the road. If you're making this decision to jump to Zoop, you may need a little bit bigger of a following than we have. Like I mentioned, Tim Seeley, his board game for Hackslash just did 20,000 because Tim's an amazing creator. He's Eisner nominated. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He can go to any site and get it. You may not be able to do that if we're on, you're in the same field as us. So it's something to consider when you switch sites.
But it's the way it is because you're a Comic-Con type of person, right? Mm-hmm. You do cons as well, right? Mm-hmm. That audience will not go to Kickstarter.
Absolutely, that's another thing. So then when you're thinking about that, you may meet different people there. You try to engage them with your website or something else.
Exactly.
Like, nope, I'll see you at the next con. And that's okay. You got to diversify, right?
And it's so funny because I've talked to a lot of those people and like, no, I go to the con, I pick up the book. It's simple formula. I don't get involved online. I don't have to wait for it. I go and I pick it up and I take it home.
and that's my favorite way to buy books. I love going Artist Alley anyway. So I try. And you have to also understand, not everyone's like yourself, right? I'm realizing I go to Crowdfunder, I go to Zoop, I go to Indiegogo, I go where the book is that I want. If I see
Exactly.
it and it's cool, but not everybody's like that, right? Not
No.
everyone is like me and just puts their credit card all over the internet and just says, they already got our identities. Who cares? Some people are saying I'm a Kickstarter backer only, or like you said, I go to cons, I hand
Yeah.
you the cash. That's our end of our transaction, and that's fine. That's good because then you have different ways to engage people.
Yeah, because you also have the comic book store guys, and they're like, I'm not going to the con. I'm not going to online. Bring the book to the store. When is it coming to the store?
Absolutely.
And sometimes you sit there and go, well, it's not that simple. If in order for me to get this to the store, we have to build an audience, and we have to get the stores to want to purchase this and bring it in so they can have it.
Absolutely. And that's, of course, always the hardest barrel for a small press to get over. So things like Kickstarter and cons are really the huge part of our success. So
speaking of cons, are you going to start bringing the book to other cons? I'm not sure which was the last one you went to.
The last one I did was I did a small brewery show for like a halfway to Halloween. I like those smaller events. I'm doing another one next month. We do really well at the smaller events, but the largest one I just did with Northwest Indiana Con, which is always good to us.
Mm-hmm.
And next year, now that we have the trade and we're getting a lot more books on the table, I want to try the bigger cons like C2E2 is my home show, Emerald City, Indiana Con. So I am hopeful that I can get out to some bigger shows now that I have a really full table of books in a diverse offerings for people that walk up to the table.
And it's funny because I know people sitting out there going, "Wait a minute, what are we talking about all this stuff?" But it's all related, folks. As you build your audience, you may not get that the certain people from certain places, but you will find one or two people, and that always helps. That will support your Kickstarter. Will find your book, or will go looking for your stuff because they found it at the convention or they found it at the comic store. It's a monster. It's a beast. You feed it, and you hope that it does what it's supposed to do.
Yep.
Because if not, because we all know this, it's like it's all about getting eyes on the book, eyes on the project, eyes on everything. Because the bigger audience you have, the better it is for you, for your books, for your creations. Because then you have leeway. Complete.
Yep. And that's of course where everybody wants to be. But again, if this is the pinnacle of where I get, I'm happy with it. We've had our success there. I'm able to pay my artists their rates, and that's fine with me. But of course, all of us want to wake up one day and have that 5-figure campaign with 500 backers, and maybe I'll get there someday. But for now, I mean, the book again does very well. I'm happy kind of hustling it around in cons, and I go to shops and do consignment and crowdfunding, and I'm happy with where we're at.
Hey, Morb. Of course, Morb is saying, by the way, Shatterman Boys saw you at a HeroCon and said you were really cool.
Me?
I think they think.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I don't think I've done HeroesCon since 2018, but if they remember me, that's awesome.
It's possible because I think their book started recently after the pandemic.
Okay, yeah, I love HeroesCon, but haven't gotten back in a few years.
HeroesCon is pretty cool. That one just happened. That was like what, 2 weeks ago? Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost always Father's Day weekend. Yeah, that's part of why I don't make it all the time.
I was gonna say that was definitely why I don't. Father's Day, they call it Father's Day, but it's never Father's Day. It's other people's day.
For sure.
Oh man. So let's see. All right, Christina, you're up. Tell the people all the good stuff about you. Give them the spiel. Go for it.
All right, so I have a new book out. It came out in April. It's called Death and Sunshine. It's about death taking a vacation and the ramifications of that. The other gods aren't too happy because no one can die. I'm also working on a book right now called Lights, Camera, Axum. It's the first time I'm writing a horror book. So I'm pretty excited about that. It's kind of like, this is book number 30 for me. So it's kind of like revigorating me. And like, as I'm writing, I'm like really excited about it. The only thing is though, the stuff's a little bit darker and like I'm Googling stuff because I don't know certain things. And I'm like, am I on an FBI list?
Oh,
maybe,
you definitely
maybe
are.
not.
We writers all are on an FBI list. If anybody were to break my computer apart, I'd be in big trouble.
Yeah, like yesterday I was looking up the police the cuffs, the zip tie cuffs
Oh,
that people
You're on the
have,
list, yeah.
the riot cuffs. Yeah. And then I'm like looking up like guns and stuff, and I'm like, oh great. So I'm texting my friend like, if you don't hear from me, it's because I've been arrested. But it's a lot of fun though, because it's letting me tap into different parts of me creatively. So that's great. So like I banged out like 20 pages over the weekend. So like I'm really into this story. On top of that, I'm also getting ready for Hershey. Oh, Hershey Comic Con.
that surprised you, I know.
Yeah. So I'm getting ready for Hershey Comic Con, which is this Saturday and Sunday. It's actually in Grantsville, PA, not Hershey. So it's like 10 minutes outside of the town. They sell passes, which Ralph put up on the screen. I'm going to be, they didn't give me a spot number, but they just said I was going to be in the Royal Ballroom. So I'm somewheres in that room.
I gotta say, looking at the prices, it's pretty decent.
Yeah. And it's like when you look at the map, if you're able to find it on the website, it's actually a really big setup. There's like multiple rooms. And like the hotel itself, I think, is like pretty much filled to capacity. So we got a bunch of great artists, writers, crafters, all different types of people coming to this event. And I think it's going to be even bigger than last year. And I heard that it did extremely well. So I decided I wanted to be a part of this event.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what I heard. It did really well last year. And a lot of people are heading over there because of that. Our friends from A Kid in a Comic all are going to be there. And I think they're doing like a major thing with it because I think a bunch of the people or creators from A Kid in a Comic will actually be at the convention itself.
That's great. I think that's something we struggle with in Chicago. We have not come back with like the mid-level shows since pandemic time. So
yeah,
we're really, you think a huge area like ours, I don't think anybody wants to take it on, but that's great.
I think the mid-level, I like the mid-level shows the best.
Definitely.
Because for me, the smaller ones, I don't do as well. I do really well typically at the mid-level shows because those people there usually come in because they know comics. While the other ones, the smaller ones, it's more of like a casual reader or somebody who's just being drugged there, against their will kind of deal. So, those are really good. I mean, the big events are great too, but they can be very tiring because you got to lug your stuff through these big convention halls, and you have to be like on point, happy, smiling when you have like maybe 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, and I think that's what non-creators don't realize how exhausting. And then you're spending that weekend, and then you got to go. Most of us go back to day jobs and stuff during the week, so it's a lot. I like it. But I don't think I can do the 3-day shows anymore. I just can't keep the energy up, that many days. And then the financial part, especially as for writers, you have a huge library, so that's great. I'm finally getting to that point where I have the big, thick, trade paperbacks and stuff, and that's only when you can really have any chance of making your table feedback and all that.
Yeah, I mean, my biggest thing is when there's other writers by me, they don't particularly like me because I have a big inventory and like they maybe have 1 or 2 books. And I'm very happy that they're trying. Like when you have that first book out, it is difficult. And like, it takes a lot of, gusto to put yourself out there, but they don't like that I have so much because I'm usually like getting their crowd, and I don't mean to. Like I don't want to steal anybody's stuff, and I do think my books are great, but like if whoever you're next to, you kind of have to get like, okay, you get some, I get some. It just sometimes one person does better than the other. You don't know.
But it's funny because I'm happy you said that because everybody always kind of goes, we're competition with each other. No, we're not competing with each other. The person who's going to buy my books, maybe they wouldn't have bought your book because they might just like that book better than that book. That's just the way it is. And at the same time, we should be helping each other out, like like we like to say here, we raise each other up. If they do well, then be happy for them. They did well.
Yeah, and they're like you said, it's kind of natural. You're like, maybe a little jealousy, like, maybe a little worry. What am I doing wrong? So it's okay to have those feelings, but in the end,
Exactly.
you're right. Like I like that part of it too, socializing, meeting people, my table, neighbors, and hey, can I watch your table while you run to the bathroom?
Exactly.
Pick each other up, like you
Hmm.
said. Um, I've watched people's tables and sold stuff for them. It's like I don't, I'm not in a situation where it's dire for me, so I'm fortunate. But yeah, if you come in with that attitude that I'm gonna, help, if we help each other, we'll all, do have some success. We may not all come home with the same amount of, sales, but we're gonna
Exactly.
have some success in some way.
But it's funny, John. It goes back to what you were saying. The more stuff you have, the better
Yeah.
these conventions are. And it's the same thing, Christina's saying. The more stuff you have, maybe instead of going, she's what how about you think maybe I should write another book?
Yeah, because people
Or
have
the
diverse tastes. It's like they don't want, if you just pigeonhole them into one or two, they're probably going to be like, all right, I'll check back. But when you have 30, it's like, man,
Exactly.
there's got to be something here I like.
Oh, definitely.
yeah. So like, oh, I don't read horror. Oh, I have romance. I have fiction. I have fantasy. You give people what they want. And if you don't have another book or comic, get merchandise like you did. People love
Exactly.
those stuffed animals. I mean, look at Disney. They have how many different things? They have the Baby Yoda that basically sold what the Mandalorian when that first came out. I can't
Yeah.
talk tonight. It's always when I'm on camera.
And that was part of, my coming to grips with the merchandise and stuff like that is saying, a bunch of my peers helped me, again, how we help each other. They said, John, put it out there. Don't, like, bankrupt yourself creating any
Exactly.
extra
Yeah.
merchandise, but put feelers out there. If people buy it, they buy it. You're not forcing them to. You're saying, hey, it's available. You don't have to feel guilty or feel like, you're some sort of huckster. If they want it, they'll buy it, and if they don't, they'll pass it up and you'll know. So, that I had to come to that grips too and say, you know what, because I create comics are expensive. I don't have the library because, I took a few years off. I can't sit here and lament that. I have to say, how can I supplement my table to engage more people? And then in the end, hopefully, the comic sales will come up with the other stuff. So I've actually created some stickers on my own, which people like. They're kind of self-deprecating kind of humor stickers, so that gets people to walk up and go, "Ha, this is funny." And that's a way to get them to the table too. So you do have to, instead of sitting there and saying, "Woe is me," say, "What is my table missing that this other person had over here that I can maybe do better the next time."
Yeah, even if it's not merchandise, I find it's the optics.
Yeah.
Like if you have a lot of stuff on your table, it draws people in, but
Yep.
you can't have too many copies of any one thing. If you have too many things on your table, it looks like it doesn't sell. So you always want to keep maybe like 2, 3, 4 copies of any particular thing on your table and then have other decorations on there because it draws people in. They think, oh gosh, there's only 2 books left. I need to buy one before it sells out.
Yeah, and
So
now you're
it's
getting into great topics because that is something I sorely lack in. I say I put my books up, and sometimes they're facing towards the person. They're going to read it, and you do want to make your table inviting and not overwhelming too, right? If you have
Exactly.
a lot of product, which I've made mistakes in too, that left them too many choices. So I needed to highlight the certain areas. This is my adult books. This is my horror humor books. This is my younger reader books, and kind of make them nice and inviting. Which I've had to learn too. And again, I've been doing this 15 years, so it's not like I learned that overnight either.
yeah. What I like to do is I'm quiet when I'm at cons unless I'm talking to people. I see what other people are doing well, what's not doing well, and I take notes of every single thing that people do. Okay, this person has candy on their table. That's great for indoor events, not good for outdoor events. Candy's gonna melt. So there's like all these different things you can do to invite people. And I'm sure the people that are watching probably don't care about this, the behind the scenes part of cons, but I think it's really interesting.
It's funny that you
You'd be
say that,
surprised.
John.
A lot of people watch these shows are fellow creators like us who want to
Exactly. Well,
hear
same
from
thing
each
I was
other.
about to say. That's what it is. It's fellow creators going, wait, see, that's why I like this show. A lot of times, people have questions, but they don't ask those questions. They'll have questions with crowdfunders. They'll have questions with cons. They'll have, and sometimes, because I've run into it a bunch of times where a person is too scared to ask any of these questions, and they'll just not ask the question, and then they'll end up not doing something, and that's always
Absolutely.
horrible.
Yeah, and I had people help me when I first started, and I really knew nothing about creating comics. So I always want to help other people too. And you're right, a lot of people sit silently, and they're not as comfortable engaging. So these conversations, I think, do help those who are want to start taking that step soon, and they don't really know how to engage. If anybody does hear this and does want to, again, people helped me along the way. I'm always happy to help. If I'm Part-Time Comics on all social medias. If you send me a message, I'll do my best to get back to you, because again, I realize it is hard. When we started 15 or 20 years ago, there wasn't, these videos and stuff bouncing around and as many social medias to engage people. So I'm very fortunate I had people to help me.
Yeah.
So of course I want to help.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely. John, when for a long time there was none of this, and anytime you had videos like this, it was more about comics or about a different aspect of the industry. It had nothing to do with
creation.
what we're
That was
talking
all
about
kind
now.
of in the secret behind the scenes. We had these in the long ago. We had these things called comic forums where we typed a question in, and we hoped that people went to that same forum and answered the question. And I that's how I found my people. So I'm grateful. But this day and age, we have all these great tools. Let's help each other. I don't want to be the person to be like, no, that person's going to come in the industry and steal my sales. That's not how I think.
And more right, folks, hit the like. It actually helps the show. It helps get seen more out there. It's the same thing with everything, because as I like to say is, especially when people are doing the Kickstarters and there's the sign up phase. It's the best time to help somebody for free, because all you got to do is sign up to get notified, and it helps the project immensely, because it actually starts them in a whole different place, because the algorithm sees it as something people want, and it'll put it out there so other people can see it.
Absolutely. We understand times are tough these days. Not everybody can back, but a share, a follow, a like goes a long way. Maybe even further than some of the pledges. When people always say, oh, I have the same audience as you, or I only have 2 friends on social media, it all helps.
Exactly.
Gets it out to people we can't. Because this day and age, the social media just squashes anything that's a link, anything that's outside their site.
Yeah.
So it's like, it feels pretty desperate these days to try and, have those same 5 people not see your posts all day,
It's the weirdest thing, because you put something out there, and you know it's good because people tell you it's good, but you see like 10 people saw it, and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, I have 2,000 people on my follow list. So
Right.
what happened to all those other people? I'm not expecting all of them to see it, but you expect more than 10 people to have seen that video.
Well, I also do think it's the economy. Like they see the video, and so they don't click on it. Like, oh, this person's selling such and such. I don't have the money. I'm not gonna bother clicking on it.
For sure.
I do events. That's my full-time job, and sales are down for everyone in most cases, and people are complaining, oh, this is a bad event, this is that, or this. No, it's just people aren't buying as much as they used to. They can't, because it's feed your family or buy a comic.
100%.
So
and we totally get that. But if you're not able to back, those shares are huge.
Oh, huge. Yeah. And it's free.
And it's free.
People don't understand that. Just like leaving a good review, liking, sharing, those things go a long way in helping sales. I mean, you did really well on Zoop so far, $2,734, unless, it went up since I last looked at it. I mean, that's incredible for this company that most people don't really know about, that's just kind of starting to come together.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I think we're doing okay. Again, first time on Zoop, we usually launch to more backers, especially at the beginning on Kickstarter. But again, it's a different environment. We just gotta take it for what it is, and even if they come, 2 a day or whatever. Because I know a lot of people get frustrated like mid-campaign. They're like, I'm not getting backers, I'm not getting views, and that's your time to hustle. You gotta take what you can get. If it's 1 person a day, then that's great. And we rarely have no backer days. We just continually, slowly update message boards, mailing lists, social media, and just get your backers. I can't be frustrated and say, oh, every time we back Kickstarter, we launch to 100 backers. I'm canceling this. You gotta keep trying.
It's so funny though, because you have people out there that we know we hit the circuit. We talk about this. we hit the shows. We try to get that, and that works. But you have people that I go, dude, you want to come on the show? You got your Kickstarter? I don't do that.
Yeah, you gotta, and I get that. Not everybody is social. not everybody has the energy to perpetually be on social media like I do all day commenting on people's stuff. And that, I'm fortunate. I work from home, so I can kind of mess around all day. But yeah, I get it. People are different. People are shy. People have other issues, and concerns. But find what works for you
Exactly.
and put yourself out there. And if you are hesitant, I've rarely been on a show that's not great. You guys are all amazing, to make the time for us to shout this stuff out.
Yeah, folks, you come on the show. I'll make sure to help you sell your stuff.
Books are a little bit different than comics because a lot of people don't really do the Kickstarter route.
No.
They go onto Amazon, they go into other companies. Unfortunately, what I've seen with books is that you can buy your success with books. You can buy those reviews, you can buy all these different people behind the scenes. I knew this lawyer, for example, who spent like $10,000, but she got up there. And I knew nothing about her book other than she got help. And if you have the money, you look at those celebrity memoirs. Do you think they're actually good? Probably not really, but they're trending. It's money and name recognition in the writing industry. Comics are different. I think it's like skill still kind of floats to the top a little bit more.
It has to, because nobody wants to buy something and not like like I've seen it before. When you buy a book, you read it, you may not be completely in love with it, but you're like, okay, cool, that was good. I feel like with a comic, it's like I invested in this, which is funny because you figure it'll be the opposite.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
No, with a comic book, it's like people go, I invested in this. I spent my time and money, and you're sitting there going, the book takes longer to read.
Yeah, right. That's how I would think of it, man. If I put a book down and I didn't like it, I'm like, man, this took so long. A comic, you're like, on to the next.
Maybe it's the image word combo that books
Yeah.
lack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe.
That's probably what it is, because I think that's what it is. Sometimes you feel betrayed. Or sometimes either the art is fantastic and you're like, oh freak, I gotta get this book, and then you read it and you're like, what the hell did I just read? Or you read it and it was great, but the art sucked, and you're like, oh my god, I want the next book, but I don't want to look at this thing.
Oh geez, that does happen.
Betrayal. Morb here is saying that he just made a story that he wanted to get out. It was a novella, but Shadowmare got wind of it and wanted to make it into I'm guessing a comic book. And
graphic novel, yeah.
So it will take some time, but it looks great so far. Yeah, so
it's awesome.
Yeah, more than actually working on something with Shadowmare Comics.
Post, yeah, I would not encourage anyone. Don't put your family and yourself into financial debt. I see far too many creators go, balls to the walls, and then they burn themselves out because the finances are important. I don't want to understate that. Nobody can necessarily not many people can do this for free. I'm in a fortunate position where I have a good job. I don't have to. So please take what I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not doing this for my livelihood. So I hate to see people when they put all their money into it and then they get nothing back. Take it slow, take it at your pace, one issue at a time, recoup the money for issue 1, go to 2, because
I think one of the problems is that when we look at the industry, whether it's books, whether it's comics, whether it's music, we think that not everybody, but a certain amount of people think that, okay, fine, I start doing this and then I make money, then I become rich. And I'm like, no.
You'll likely never get your hours back for the, your dollar per hour rate will be very low over time. It is definitely a passion. There are a few of us who, break that and get, that movie deal or whatever, that TV.
Yep.
That they blow up on Amazon. There is ways, but you do want to be realistic going in, because I do think people and I did when I first in my last company before I started Part-Time Comics. I was like, again, I had an okay job. I didn't have huge debt or anything, so I was able to. But I sunk a lot of my money in thinking the same thing. Not necessarily that I was going to get rich, but that it would just come back. But at $3-4 a pop for a book, I wasn't being smart about it. And then that put strain on my personal relationships, because my wife was like, you're sinking money into this. This is our money. And that it strains your relationships. It sours things a lot if you're not smart going in. You look at your co-creators and you feel bad. You can't give them their page rate because you didn't plan properly or didn't price the book at the right price or weren't, didn't advertise it enough. So there's a lot more that goes into it, especially when you've got teams, that are relying on you, and that's part of what burnt me out. I felt like it wasn't even about the financial success. I felt like people looked at me and said, you're you're the publisher on the book, you know, and I didn't help them get to their goals. I don't think any of them would necessarily even felt that way, but I felt that way. Like I wanted to take my friends and these group of co-creators and you know, get us out there in the world, and we were going to be, you know, this awesome company and small press, and it didn't happen. You know, we spent 10 years, you know, we had great times. I still appreciate it, but you know, I ended up burnt out because I was taking on so many other people's projects and trying to help them along the way, and I just didn't have the resources to do it. You know,
I
It's funny that
think you have to learn to say no. So I think that's a really big thing. You want to do all
for
these
yourself as
things.
well. You
Yeah.
have to say no. You can't do that 5th book, you idiot. You have to focus on it. That,
exactly.
which is my mistake.
Also, it's the whole concept of, you know, I feel like, again, people think this other thing, and then people feel like they're not successful if they have a one job and they're doing the comics at the same time, you know, because some people tell them, oh, you're still working. But I always tell people that you have to pay for the dream somehow. Somehow that money has to get to where you need to do to pay for these things. And if that's your job and that's what's paying the dream, then don't worry about it. Just keep working on the dream. You know, as long as you don't bankrupt yourself, you should be good.
Right.
I'm just reading the chats, and you know, Morb, he's following his dream and he has the means to do it, which is great.
I like what he said. He was a con scares the crap out of me for real. I'm a fat, ugly, one-eyed, chewed up human being, but I wrote a story.
You know what you can do? Just wear a funny shirt. That draws people over.
We get a bad rap because there's, you know, a few people in the scene that could be obnoxious idiots, but just like any fandom. But really, comics is so welcoming. I've had huge creators sit behind me and you know, we have conversations and they're like, oh, take my book. And it's like, no, huge creator, like you are a huge creator, I'll buy your book. And they're like, oh, no. You know, walk up to somebody and they saw your book and they're like, here, you know, take a free print, or they recognize your name. The industry is very self-publishing, whether books, comics, whatever, is much more welcoming than people think. There's not a lot of people who are judging people or making fun of people. There's a few loudmouths and knuckleheads, but I've really found it to be, you know, a great community, and that's why I keep doing it. I want to be part of that community, and I hope that if you do take that plunge more, that you find that as well.
Yeah, I think you might just, the biggest thing is you just get some weirdos though that come to your booth. Some that want to tell you their life story. Always. And they block you from getting sales. And like, it's fine for if nobody's around, but like if they're sitting there talking to you for a half hour about their book or their comic or whatever they're doing, they just need a little bit more spatial awareness. And you have to find ways to just kind of get them to move, you know, in a polite way. I think that's like the hardest thing.
It is.
Yes, Christina's just giving you the best #1 tip. If you're going to a convention, be prepared to have awkward conversations.
Yes.
I'm a social worker by day, so I feel fortunate. I have been trained to deal with these communities, and I say that in a loving way. I may have more patience because I am trained in it. I understand not everybody is, but this medium in itself attracts people who are a little more solitary or don't have the best social skills. So, you know, don't get upset if that guy's telling you about his pitch for, who did the last guy tell me? I think it was Batgirl. I have nothing to do with DC Comics, but he wanted to tell me his pitch for Batgirl. So I just politely asked him, hey, you know, it's great talking to you, you know, so-and-so. Could you step to the side of the table while we continue to talk? Because I'd like, you know, just, you're going to have those conversations. So be prepared. And again, I try to go into it with grace and look beyond the behavior and don't just say, oh, who is this idiot talking to me? I say, oh, you know, he's clearly, you know, his social skills are different than mine. So I'm going to help him through this process and hopefully we make a connection and he, you know, it doesn't walk away angry or something like that. Or sometimes you do have to be, you know, assertive for yourself and say, sir, we've been talking for 60 minutes. You know, I'm going to sit down and eat my lunch.
I think the longest I saw somebody at another person's table was 2 hours and like 20 minutes. I even tried to go over there and like, hey, I would like to buy something.
Help them out.
And the guy who was telling the story was just glaring at me. And I was like, I'll just buy this quick and leave, because I felt like daggers on me. But like sometimes like you don't mind talking to people. That makes the time go by and it's fun and great. But
one of the fun parts of the con,
you just have to know what's going on around you. Like, again, spatial awareness.
one of the things we've learned, especially with Bit and Apple, because we do this, we cover the tables, we cover the creators. One of the things you learn is you're trying to help the person. So the last thing you want to do is block the table so they can't make any sales. I'll always step out of the way, or I'll go, oh, check it out, or I'll say something good about whatever book they're looking at, going, dude, you got to really check this out. Because it kind of helps out, but it's like Christina's saying, you have to be aware of your surroundings and know that this person, he will talk to you, but be nice. If you talk from over here, that means other people can check out the table.
Right. I sometimes have to remind my buddies. They'll stop by and just, hey, they notice you. It's like, hey guys, step to the side or come talk to me behind the table.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's always a good one. We go behind the table experience. When you know the person.
All my buddies like to drop their stuff off at the table. They're like, "Oh, you have a booth, hold all my stuff." It's like, man, when did this become the thing?
My biggest...
what it is? That really helps out. I know me as media. Anytime I'm running around, if one of my friends go, dude, can you just leave your stuff back? Because if not, I'm carrying that equipment the whole time.
Oh gosh.
You gonna say, Christina?
Oh no, I said like my biggest pet peeve is like random people just leaving their drinks on your table.
Oh, on the table, I hate that.
I'm like, you're just afraid that it's gonna spill everywhere and like destroy your stuff.
Yeah, that's a risk. I do. I don't know if I have it here, but I've started putting a coaster on the table to designate where they should lay it, so it's the least dangerous spot.
I mean, I guess that's a good idea. Or maybe like a box, so that if it tips, spills, it goes into the box.
Yeah. Yeah,
you'd have to have a
drink on my table, put it in that box.
Off to the mine's where again, if it spills, it's not going to hit the stuff. But you don't always have the space for that. But
I was going to say, I understand that people have all this stuff they're carrying with them. But I've seen people like lay out half their stuff on somebody's table.
Oh yeah,
somebody's merchandise,
crushing their merchandise. It's like
and then they break, they bend a comic or they do this and that, and then they don't even apologize. They just like walk.
I try to. That's why I have bags with me. I always like when I see them, like, hey, would you like a bag?
I'm still bad with that. I got to get more bags or get some part-time comics bags or something. Yeah,
they're cheap on eBay if you just want like thank you plastic bags, but label ones like with your actual logo is probably better.
Oh my God. He's saying, I've been on the show before, he has, and we had my publisher Brian from Shattermare, because Brian comes on the show a couple times. The thing is, he literally sounds like Yabo Zach, and some love it, some are not so likable, but it's not an impression.
Your boy Zach is great. He's he review comics.
Oh my God. Is he my artist Luke got a print stolen from Hero. Oh, I hate when that happens. Of his Nightmare Before Christmas. It was a print and not. It's funny. I just went to Garden State Comic Fest, and as you walk in, there's this huge poster because a year or two back, somebody in Garden State Comic Fest was there stealing things, and they caught them on video. I guess they looked after the fact after it happened, and they had a picture of the two people there. It was like, if you see these people.
Oh damn! I heard it. Yeah, one guy at the slabbed books was able to walk off with a couple, and they caught him from the.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, whew. It amazes me because these aren't even like major companies. These are people who are either selling stuff that they've gotten or nobody's rich in this place.
Right.
And somebody's coming in and stealing from them. I'm like, well, what's wrong with you people?
People will steal anything. I had Christmas decorations up for an event that I was doing, and the kids like murdered the Santa and stole it.
What?
Like you see it's like them stabbing it on the camera and then stealing it. So like people will destroy, steal anything. That's why like if you have money at the event, don't put it in like a money box. Put it in something weird.
Yeah.
Yep.
And make sure you keep that something weird, not like a cup that you chuck out in the garbage.
I put my cargo pants to use, put it in the pocket.
Oh yeah, that's why I love cargo pants, especially when I'm running around the convention doing my press stuff. It's like, okay, I got 10 pockets. The only problem is that later on you're like, what the hell did I put that thing?
I want to wash your credit card.
I've washed my credit card before.
Oh, many times.
I knew-
Everything.
Oh man. Yeah, Garden State Comic Fest was this weekend. We had a blast. It was just amazing. It was so much fun. I know, Christina, you missed out.
Yeah, y'all
Well-
are in the hot spot, man. You're always having all these
Exactly.
shows
I was-
everywhere. I'm like, what the hell?
I'm doing Hershey this week, so I didn't want to do 2 events in.
Oh, I know why
weekend.
you didn't do it. I'm just telling you, you missed out.
Yeah. And hopefully I get into New York Comic Con. If not, then I'll probably do Heroes Con. I'm not Heroes. Horror Con in Atlantic City.
New Jersey Horror Con. I love those guys. A great show.
Oh yeah, they're great. Just kind of waiting to see. For me, I'm just waiting to see like what's happening later in the year, so I can figure out my money. Again, like you don't want to spend too much.
Exactly.
You
Yeah,
want this
I
much for
can't-
conventions.
I can't do those Read Pop shows anymore. They just every year the price goes up, and it's like, damn.
Expensive as hell.
Again, maybe C2E2 next year because it's my home show. We haven't done it in 6 or 7 years, but yeah, New York, that's way out of my range these days.
Folks, yeah, if you're doing tables, if you're doing all this stuff, what you want to do is you want to make sure that whatever show you're doing, you at least get your table back.
Right.
Right. So, that's an important thing, and again, we're talking about something that some other people are going, what are you talking about that, Ralph? But no, we have creators that are going to these conventions, and I get all these questions from actually creators who want to do their own tables. And what you want to do is hit the smaller shows in the beginning, build your name, and then start hitting bigger shows. But you want to hit them one at a time so you can see which shows are better for you, because not all shows are the same. And
Yeah,
when you're at the
if you
show-
can, like if you're thinking about creating this year, go to those shows and see
Mhm.
what the vibe is. Talk to other
Exactly.
creators, and look at your product, because again, that was my fault in the beginning. When I first started C2E2 table, $300, split it with a buddy of mine. He's an artist, so that helped. He's able to do the sketches. Brings, if you can do that, that helps.
that
But
brings
if you're
people
going
in,
just as an author, you have your 1 book, 2 books. If they're $5 each, $10 each, how many do I have to sell to make table? And how many hours am I standing at that table all weekend? And how much is my hotel? Think about that in advance. And again, if it's just a vacation thing for you and you want to go and have fun, which at the time for me was great. My buddies would come into town, we'd hang out all weekend. It was worth it to me. But when you get to that phase where you're like, I cannot walk away from this convention $2,000 in the hole, then you got to slow down, go through your product and say, if I don't have a $25 trade that I expect to sell 20 copies of, I'm never going to make table at this convention.
You have
So
to think
you
about
got to
it.
think about that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I always like to do one big event a year and make it a vacation. So, like, kind of like what you said. So, like with Hershey, I'm stopping in Lancaster doing a food tour.
Nice.
I'm,
Nice.
I'm doing Turkey Hill, the ice cream place. A lot of food stuff.
Ooh.
Yeah, so like you have to make it fun. Otherwise, like you said, you burn out.
It becomes a job. You don't need 2 jobs.
Yeah. That's why
You
I
need
chose
the
name
job
Part-Time
and the
Comics. I was
passion.
trying to set limits for myself, which hasn't happened. And I'm getting to the age my kids are more into it. They've asked about kind of co-tabling with me and
Oh,
helping.
cool.
And so that'll be fun. If we actually do go on the road, it'll be like a little mini vacation. We can swim in the pool and sit at the show and have fun, and so that'll make it different at this phase. But yeah, I'd like to get to that too. Do 1 or 2 big shows a year, but stick. Again, we do really well at the small and mid-level shows. It's just easier justify like a 1-day show and $100 for a table is much different than $450.
It is.
Yeah, like New York is 550 now for writers.
Let me choke down my water. I didn't realize it was that much. Last time I applied, I think it was like $450, but that was a few years ago. Yeah, and again, no shade to Read Pop. They got to make their money too, but
Yeah.
man, they just keep going up, and that's because if I don't take the table, some hungry young creators
Oh,
right
they
behind me,
definitely right away. Yeah.
and
It's not just them. It's Fan Expo too. I don't know if Fan Expo's out in your area, but
it is. It just started. They took over whatever Wizard World or whatever it was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
with them though, what they do, like with, I don't know if it's with all the shows, but if they hold the money and they tell you last minute if you got in or not, and then they
Wow.
refund you after the show so that they use the money to pay for the big names. They didn't do that with Philly, but they did it with Boston. But I did
didn't know
Philly.
that.
So I'm wondering if they're doing it with the other ones as well.
Interesting.
Like, so I would just be wary of that. Maybe, like I said, maybe it just depends on the location, because I doubt one person's running all the huge events.
Well, I can tell you this much: Reed Pop, as much as they're Reed Pop, um, as I deal with each location, like T2, E2, friendly as heck. Down in Florida, friendly as heck. Anytime I deal with New York, they're like, "Who are you?"
Philly was really friendly. Like I would go back
Yeah.
to Philly in a heartbeat. Boston, I don't know. I just pulled out of it. I'm like, nope, give me my money back.
Yeah.
That's because it's Boston. You know, they want the chowder.
Yeah, they probably don't like my Jersey accent.
Uh-oh.
All I know is anytime I'm in Boston with my New York accent, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Yankees, right?
Exactly. That's what it is. You know, I like Boston. I like being there, but sometimes they get kind of weird. And I'm not even a big Yankee fan.
I'm from Chicago. You don't have to tell me about crazy sports fans.
Oh, man. Oh, see, look at that. We spent the whole thing. We're at the hour mark.
Oh, no more Jersey.
So, John, go ahead. Tell the people all the good stuff again and let them know where they can find you, and I'll put it up.
The best place to find us right here, Part-Time Comix, Linktree/Part-Time Comix. We are Part-Time Comix with an X on all social media, except for Instagram, which makes us do the part_time_comics. But if you type Part-Time Comix with an X in Google, all our stuff will come up. That's the best way to find us because, again, we are doing different things like Zoop, and we're going back to Kickstarter, and we have our mailing list there, and et cetera, et cetera. It's just the best way to find it, whatever way you want to engage with us on social media, mailing list, whatever. Go to Linktree Part-Time Comix. This is our third book of 5 planned this year. So we do appreciate the fans who keep coming back. We know that we're being a little bit aggressive this year with the put out, but after the first 3 years of Part-Time Comix, now we have, enough in the well to kind of get a lot of these series wrapped up or moving forward and start new ones. So this is a very big year for us. We've had 2 successful campaigns already, and I'm confident with people's help we can get this third one over the line so we can go on to our next story in July.
It's funny, John, getting back to that whole swag thing that we were talking about earlier. As people who like rock and roll, and we like the swag from our rock bands, I feel like it's similar to what you're doing, and if you go in that direction, I think you'll be fine with it.
Yeah, and again, that's a huge part of my life. I'm very attuned to the metal community. We do the patches because
Exactly.
metal fans love their battle
Mhm.
vests, and I might not necessarily have, but I know that we've done the beanie hats. Again, we've done the guitar picks, even though it's about drumsticks. We did begrudgingly. I finally gave in when people asked us to do drumsticks because they're a pain in the ass to ship because they're huge.
I was going to say,
people bought them, people loved them. We did it of the 3rd issue. I don't know if I'll do it again, but we try to, we try to give people what they want. Again, I'm a huge fan of heavy metal and that. So I think I kind of know, what people would want.
Oh, you're doing great because, I'm looking at your thing going, okay, I want the book. I want this. I want.
Yeah,
I think you should do pins.
We have pins. We don't have the like the hard enamel ones, but we do have the round pins, which again I know that's really big in metal and punk rock.
Still works.
So we got the logo pins. We're also,
we know
the
guys. They wear the jackets and they put all the pins on.
Yeah, we've got them here. We've got plenty of those. We're also doing this will be next campaign, but we're doing a D&D figure for Argyle here.
Oh, you're talking my language.
Nice.
Because we know, again, we're all nerds together. Heavy metal is just another form of being a nerd. Don't act like you're cooler than anybody, because Dio's singing about Dungeons and Dragons and all that stuff too. So we decided, you know what, we're going to do some 3D. So this will actually be the next campaign, so you get to see it early.
We all know half the rockers are doing D&D anyways.
At 100%. That's where they got all the lyrics from.
Exactly.
Just their campaigns. But yeah, so we're doing that for next campaign. But yeah, again, just trying to put things out there that people would be interested in.
You're working it in the right direction. I feel like you're keeping it interesting for the for people that would do something like that, especially with following a rock band.
And of all things, you think bands and merchandise, we still haven't done T-shirts because my wife has banned me. I used to have T-shirts when I was in a band. We did T-shirts for some early comic stuff. I'm wearing one right now. And she's like, if you ever bring T-shirts into my house, that's it. You're out of here. She's like, because they just sit there in the basement for years, because you have to order like 500 sizes,
That logo on a T-shirt would look fantastic.
And I do have one. I ordered one for myself, but it's kind of putting feelers out there.
Because I would love a T-shirt that goes "Drumsticks of Doom."
All right, I'll put you on the list.
I'll mail you a copy. So
Oh,
I would go for like a necklace that said that or something.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I can see that too, man. Ooh.
Yeah.
We did do I have a charm coming up. One of the there's a mermaid charm in the book that turns people into different animals. So
Hey, Captain.
we did the charm for that. So that'll be coming up soon. Tried, a little bit of everything.
Yeah, see, but at least you're thinking about it. I like how you're thinking about it. You're not just going throw the merchandise and whatever, make it whatever sticks.
Well, do you know like what your target range is? Do you find you have more male readers or female readers or?
Definitely more male. I'm very happy to say we have a lot. I don't know if that's because it is a female lead in the book. We do get a lot of female backers through the Kickstarter. Obviously, we do some sales in stores, and we're not 100% sure, but I'd say we're probably 90 to 10% at this point. Just judging by the names, you never know how people identify based on their names, but it does seem like we've got a growing female readership.
Nice. I gotta say, and I've told you before, I like the fact you actually have a female lead, because you all in this industry, especially, all you see is a lot of male leads.
Well, and that was a big part of the book too, because when you're very into a fandom like comics or heavy metal, and you're into both, we understand some of the warts that they have, and that is some of the concern. And it was very purposeful to make it a female lead, because who's going to struggle in a heavy metal world? Whatever you think of heavy metal,
Definitely.
It's going to be women, because women are talked down to and said, as much as men say we don't do that. I've seen it firsthand. So that was a big part of why she's a woman, because that struggle would be very real in a heavy metal world.
And it's so funny that you're saying that, because I know other guys will be like, what are you talking about? It's the same thing.
They're the same guys who are saying name 3 songs just because they're wearing a t-shirt. It's like, chill, man.
I hate
if
that.
they just like the logo on the shirt, it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
if they like the band, let them like the band. You don't have to quiz everyone about how metal they are every second of your life.
Oh, the nerds do that all the time with as soon as they see a girl wearing a comic book shirt or.
And again, heavy metal people are just nerds who like music.
Exactly. I tell people it's all different nerddoms. It's all different geekdoms. My friends get pissed off when I go, look, man, sports it's just geek sports.
Oh, absolutely. Sports is the most nerdy.
Exactly.
Those guys are looking down at us their whole life. And it's like, no.
The numbers that nerds. They know, man. Sometimes they throw these numbers at me, and I'm like,
oh, yeah.
And you laugh at me for my D&D, dude.
Right, because I know all the X-Men, but you know who played shortstop for the Cubs back in 1974. It's the same thing. And I'm not throwing shade at anybody. I'm a sports nerd.
No,
I'm a heavy metal nerd, a comic nerd.
Exactly.
I love it all. But I accept that, and I say I'm not gonna, talk down to somebody.
No.
In good fun, between friends. But sometimes people.
Oh, but that's different though. That's that thing we do where we go, who's better or what's this? But I feel like these days you got to be careful with that too, because people can get all really serious.
Yeah, for sure.
I started reading comics when I was in kindergarten. My uncle used to take me to the comic shop every Friday. I'd get them. And I was upset when I was little because they had nothing for women at that time with comics. If I wanted an X-Men shirt, I had to go buy a boy's shirt. And I wanted there to be more stuff for women. Now it seems like it's kind of like they flipped it. And like with like Marvel, for example, they're putting out all these female-led stories that aren't particularly good.
No.
You can have female-led stories if they're good.
Yeah.
And, I feel like in the real world, there's a balance. Like, if there's female superhero, there's male superhero, they should be working together. Like, you want both characters to be strong and complement each other. Mm-hmm. And because that's kind of like the yin yang of things. And I think people forget that. So like you said, they might attack her because they see this overexposing of the female characters like in the movies. And they forget that there was a struggle for a while. And like, I don't know, it's just like overcompensating, undercompensating. It drives me nuts. Just what you like.
Well, but that happens from prejudice because something swung so far that now we feel like we have to force it through. And hopefully eventually the pendulum will be more balanced, like you said, See, and because naturally, again, 51% of the population, why not? There should be, 1-to-1 ratio, right?
Like John, you thought it through. You saw the idea. You saw why the story works in that direction. Like I sit there and I go, okay, see, that makes sense. This is why it's a female lead, because she would have more trouble. But again, with what Christina says, what they'll do is they'll put the female lead, and then she's perfect.
Yeah.
You can't. They have to be imperfect because you need the hero's journey. Exactly. Whether you need some kind of struggle. And that was what was wrong with the Star Wars movies. Rey was perfect and everybody kind of hated that. And it doesn't matter if it's male or female, you have to go through something for a story to be good.
Right. We got to latch on to why.
I have the
he's
same
right
issue with Skywalker because I thought he was a whiny little bitch in the beginning.
Very
Well,
true. I thought Leia was the better character in the first
Exactly.
series, right? They had it right in that one.
That's why the only thing I saw was that was right about the movies was that Leia was a badass general, and I'm like, it makes complete sense. Everything that she does actually makes sense to her character because she's always been that from the get go.
Right. Right.
What do I know? Christina, give your spiel one more time. Let the people know who you are and where to find you. Go for it.
I am Christina Garlick. I'm a sci-fi fantasy author. My new book is out. It's called Death and Sunshine. And I have a bunch of other ones, though. I'm working on my 30th one. And I will be at Hershey Comic-Con this weekend.
Dude, this looks really good. I'm still considering if I can go or not. We'll see what happens, but maybe next year I'll make sure that I actually make it out there. But folks, if you are, dude, it's Hershey. Just that alone. Just the fact that you can do other things while you're there. Go to this thing.
Nearby, there's the amusement park. There's
Exactly.
tons of chocolate if you like chocolate.
Oh, chocolate everywhere, folks. My daughter's gone to Hershey now twice for her band, and she always comes back with a big smile on her face. Oh man, yes, folks, go check it out, Hershey. Go buy a book from Christina, and you'll have a good day.
I'll even sign it.
Exactly. There you go. All right. I think. Let's see. What else do we got over here to show off? This thing's still going. Yes, it is. All right, folks. Here's another Kickstarter to check out. Space Cruising. It's a pretty good sci-fi. It has a nice 50s feel to it. Go check it out. This thing looks really great, and it's from our friend John Dexter. He does amazing work, and this thing looks like another amazing piece of writing from our friend John. They're at 1,153. Are they funded yet?
Not yet. I've seen this one bounce
About
around
$400, $350 more.
Okay, so they need 350 more. Come on, folks. We can get them to 3,000. We can get them farther than that. They still got 16 days to go.
Hey.
It looks fun. Man. Like Indiana Jones meets like Star Trek, and
we had him on the show to talk about it. This is like completely right up my alley. The art looks amazing. This character here is just hilarious.
Samurai? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a samurai, a cowboy, alien, and an android. It sounds like the beginning of a joke.
Yep.
You have Lurch from what is it? Addams Family?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Spider-Man homage. That's a good one, always.
Man, it just looks great. So go check it out, folks. Look at this. And I feel like
covers are amazing. Jeez.
Yeah, one of the things that is lacking lately is that all these sci-fi stuff take themselves so seriously. This thing's actually really fun. You can tell just from the images I'm showing. Let's see. Oh, here's another one. I think this one only has 4 days to go, but I love my noir comic books, and this is Magic Noir. And it just like the art looks amazing on this. She's doing pretty well. She actually reached 3,000, which we were hoping she would get to. Now she's at 3,100. If you like noir and you like magic, this is a story right up your alley, folks. And again, the art is just on point.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, this is
I'm pretty active in the community, and I missed this one, so it looks cool.
This is my favorite cover here. I just like this. It looks really nice. Kind of reminds me of some comics that I liked when I was younger. All right.
I have like a Spider-Man feel for this one too.
Yeah, with the shattered in the background. Yeah.
Okay, my computer's acting up over here. Oh, here we go. Phil Russert. Folks, if you have read Tragedy, it's a fantastic little book. Phil does a fantastic job at writing. He is a great story smith. If you like crime drama and superhero drama, this is right up your alley. Dude, just the first issue alone, that ending in the first issue, if you're gonna jump into this, dude, buy the first issue, see the ending. If you don't like it, come talk to me. Because he really drops it off in an interesting place. All right, what else is we got here? I think is that everybody? Oh, of course, can't forget our pal Carissa. Her book is out. Looks like she's funded. She's at 2,302, 72 backers, 14 days to go. Carissa really always pulls out all the stops. Talking about merchandise.
Talk about merchandise.
Exactly.
She's my
And
merchandise
covers.
mentor. It's her fault that we even have a stuffy. So if you don't like it, she hooked us up with the seller, and I never thought it would be a reality until I talked to her, and she really does. It's a great quality at a good price. So
I was going to say it actually looks huggable. You know, I like the stuffies when they are huggable. Because sometimes
this looks like a good book.
Oh yeah, definitely. If you like Supernatural and you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, this would be right up your alley.
Yeah, and Carissa's got a huge story here for people who don't know. Dozens of issues planned.
Yeah.
Several already done behind the scenes. So this book will get mailed to you within the first few days of it ending. She does her
really
fulfillment insanely fast. She has tons of cool merch, and she really wants every other month she's back with a new issue. So catch up on the series. And yeah, she's got a big plan for this series. So if you're into that, like a huge world that she's building, and again, it's zombie fighting, supernatural, Buffy, humor, action, horror type adventure book. It's she's got a huge plan for it.
Folks, we love it. Look at her stuffy.
Nice.
And she has many. Like she does very limited print runs.
Oh, definitely. I love her coins.
Cool.
Her coins are beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I'm a big coin guy.
She's crazy.
Does she do the artwork too, or is she just the writer?
She hires people. She's the writer.
Okay.
She has a partner too that they write together.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I talk to her all the time, and I forget his name, but he is definitely the partner on the book. He's been with since issue 1. She's brought in a new colorist and letterer, and yeah, she's got her whole team. They work hard to get this out every other month. They got another issue.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's amazing.
She is determined. She is determined. She will see the series through.
Dude.
All of us told her at the beginning, "You're insane. You're doing the exact opposite of what anyone should do." And she didn't listen to anybody. And here she is,
all that stuff that we were talking about before. This is an example of somebody that said, "Fuck it, I'm going to do this because I needed to get done."
And she did it. She didn't listen. And I mean, she listened to some advice, but she said, "No, I have a huge plan. I'm doing the whole. I think it's 44 issues or something. Is her planned run." And I don't care. I'm gonna do it before I die. And we said, and she's done it. So that's something to be said about not listening to all the old farts in the room and just doing your own thing.
Again, it's all what you feel. If you feel whatever you feel, then go with it. Don't let somebody else bring you down. Just realize that you're making your choice. Like I told my daughter all the time, you're in charge. You're in charge to react the way you need to react once it happens. But you are in charge because you take responsibility for yourself. Yes, folks. I have to show this because Keith is going to be at Hershey. Keith Williams is amazing. He actually had a Kickstarter a little while back for his art book, and you can actually still purchase the book right now off the Kickstarter, which I've seen other people do, but I'm always surprised when you can still do that.
He's actually going to be in the same room that I am during HersheyCon. He's in the Royal Room.
You met Keith a couple times, right?
Yeah, I always he's always by me, which is great because he's such a fun and lively guy.
He's amazing. The energy, one of the greatest inkers out there, and now he actually one of the reasons why he's over there in Hershey's is that he's actually joined the guys from Kid in a Comic, and he's going to do his own comic in the newspaper for Kid in the Comic, all done by him.
That's awesome. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if anybody hasn't also seen this, the Kickstarter's allowing backers after the campaign. So if you missed it, you get a little bit of time. You get to choose as a creator now if you want to do that or not. Some people want to take it.
I'm going to explain that because I was wondering how this happens. Go ahead.
It's new. Kickstarter, I think, because of other sites kind of competing, they finally they've upgraded a lot of their stuff behind the scenes. So props to them. And this is one of them. They said, you know what, a lot of people are leaving to go to BackerKit or other places because after the campaign, they still want to give people a chance to.
Exactly.
And now they're saying, okay, if there's a window where the book is still in production, you can give yourself another 4 weeks or 4 months and let people who missed the campaign. Now, you may only have exclusive things for those who backed during the window it was live, and that's cool. But other people might be like, oh, darn, I missed it. and they can just go ahead and back it right there. So that, a lot of us are trying this out. I'll definitely do it with my next campaign, because not everybody sees it in that short window it's up, and they should at least be able to scoop up the book,
Exactly.
even if they miss out on some of the exclusive stuff.
And I've seen it multiple times where I know people that will they'll ask me, because I'm usually knowing what Kickstarter, as you can see by all the Kickstarters we just showed, what's going on, and they'll go, Ralph, this Kickstarter. I'm like, you missed that already. That was like 3 weeks ago.
Right.
I'm like, oh man.
And the Kickstarter's kind of they know their audience, so they kind of made a joke about all the people who tell you they're going to come back to back, and oh, I'm sorry I missed it. Well, now they can't use that excuse anymore because you're right there. So we'll see how that goes.
Here's the link.
Here's the link. So that's
I love when people do that. Like, oh, I don't have cash on me. Oh, well, I have a card reader, or it's online.
We got you covered.
So,
at Kickstarter too, I'm gonna be like, you don't. It doesn't get charged until we fund at the end, and they're like, oh yeah, I'll be back. It's fine. It's an inside joke, but we don't take it. You just tell us you don't want it back, though. It's fine. We won't take it.
I always wonder. I'm like, look, dude, the easiest out is like, I don't have the money right now. No, I don't have the money
say that
when it finishes. I don't have the money right now.
Yeah,
that's the easy out.
Yeah, but don't say you're gonna come back or
don't come
support
back.
People. Everybody's doing their dream. You know what bugs me out the most? And I'm only going to talk a little bit because I see a bunch of people just join the room. What bugs me out the most is you get all these people who are just like, oh, we want to support, and then when they get a chance to support, like your friends, it's the funniest thing. I know strangers who will share my stuff way before any of my friends.
Absolutely, 100%.
You sit there going, dude, why didn't you share that video that I put up? And I'm like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Right. It is.
Ralph, I don't listen to that stuff that you talk about. I don't care if you don't listen, just share it.
Yeah.
I think you are. Oh, I was gonna say, I think you are the #1 person that shares my stuff, like for my friends group.
Yeah, and again, I have family and friends, 25, 30 years, and they're like,
John shares like crazy. He puts Kickstarters up there. I'm like, sometimes I'm competing with John. Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's easy to do, but yeah, people always tell me, oh, you're flooding your own timeline. It's like, it's fine, it'll work out. But yeah, and then I have my buddies I've known for 30 years, and they're like, oh yeah, I saw it, I didn't share it. I'm like, they're like, we have the same friends on social media. I'm like, we don't. Please just hit the share. I beg you.
We have like 4 common friends.
Right. From high school 25 years ago.
Exactly. All right, folks. Hopefully you guys came in, you had a little bit of fun, but now it's time to go. You are seen. I'm not going to say you weren't seen. I saw you all come in there at the end. I hope that you rewatch all this beautiful stuff that happened today. It was a great conversation with John and Christina. Folks, we appreciate you, whether you see it live or you see it as a rewatch, which I know a lot of you do. You put it up because you tell me all the time. You put it in the background and you do your things as we talk over here. And hey, if that's what you do, that's what you do. You're seen. With that, I'll do what we always do here on this show. And this is different than the written Rick, because I do this. I know, folks, you're waiting for that usual